Hello, my friends. This is Qing Hong here. Recently, I recruited a new teaching assistant, JuJu the rabbit. Today, the two of us want to share with you how to improve your brushwork and create beautiful color flow. So let's get started. First, let's look at the brush. Here is the Chinese calligraphy and painting brush that I use a lot. And let me compare it with this Euro size 12 round watercolor brush. And you will see this calligraphy brush is so much bigger. And size does matter when we do the watercolor flow because you can cover an area faster and easier, so the paint is fresh. Another great advantage of this natural hair brush is that they absorb a lot of water, so much more than synthetic brush, and they can create beautiful flow on their own. So here, let me show you. I'm dropping this brush into this water, and you can see the hair just flows. It expands and it becomes so big. And I can actually feel the power it creates in the water already. See that? Now let's try this synthetic brush. When I put it in the water, really there's not much change, right? The brush head doesn't expand and there's just no flow in the water. I can't feel much. So because of that, it's not easy to create a flow when we paint with it. Let me put the two brushes together again and notice, wow, the other natural hair brush is like dancing in the water. How we put the brush onto the paper really matters too. And because most of us growing up using pencils or pens, so we tend to push the brush onto the paper hard and just on the tip, like as if you were using a pencil or pen. So just pushing and only using the tip. And again, that's just so dry and there's no flow to it. And here, let me show you how I use the brush to have a much better flow. So first, when I put it in the water, I let it absorb a lot of water as much as possible. And when I pick up paint, I don't just put the paint on the tip of the brush. I really bring out the paint and make a watery mixture and put the whole brush into this mixture. And now when I put it onto the paper, I can only use the tip, and also I can lay it down and just glide across the surface of the paper. So see, just a few glides, this whole area is covered with very smooth paint. Now I can come in while it's wet and again gliding, use the side of the brush and see this color fusion is just so natural and soft. Another tip that I learned from great watercolorists Jean Haynes and Janet Rogers is the pressure. Paper is actually very soft, as if you are stroking a little bird. Very soft, as if you were stroking a little bird. Okay, now let's try to paint a gradient color, a gradient wash. So I'm basically go to my favorite gradient, and that is a sunset on the ocean. I live by the ocean, and I just love it very much. So naturally for me to paint it. And notice that how I use my brush. I put it entirely into this water, bring out a lot of water, and use the side of the brush and glide onto the paper gently, as if stroking a little bird. Just how soft. Actually, the softer the better, because when you are not pushing hard, you actually give the paint, the pigment, the time to rest and settle on its own in the water, so they are not being pushed into the paper. So you have more time to play with it, add more colors, add water to it to give it that flow and give pigments the time to mingle and play with each other. So that's really a wonderful tip that I have learned, or an insight I have gained about watercolor, is to create a space for the pigments, for the colors to play with each other and create magic on its own. And this space is so much created by water. So have lots of water, use a natural hairbrush, and play with it. That's all I can say. And yes, when I use less water and only use the tip, I can create some beautiful lines, and here I'm indicating some waves in the water. Here you can also use the synthetic ones because they don't take in a lot of water. So if you don't want water overrun, then here's a good place to use a synthetic brush, so it doesn't run away everywhere. Okay, and I want you to take a close look and see the colors. They are just so soft and mingle together because we had a lot of water on the brush and we glide gently on the paper. We're not pushing hard at all, so the colors have time and have a space to play with each other. Notice the beading of the water at the bottom of the page. That's the right amount of water if you want to have the flow. So if at the end of your color paint there's no beaded water, that means you probably don't have enough water, and therefore you will not normally to have this beautiful flow and fusion of color. Okay, I hope these tips help you. Let me know in the comment below any questions or any more different tutorials you want me to make. And I hope you enjoy this holiday season and happy painting. Oh yes, now is snack time for our hardworking teaching assistant, JuJu the rabbit.